Ladies and gentlemen, this is Lance Uppercut with Tech Gaming Today, and we are finally back from E3 Los Angeles 2016. Starting off for today, we're going to have a segment that's a little bit different from the norm, and we will be giving you the top 5 tech and games that we saw at E3 2016. Today, we will be giving you what we thought were the top 5 PSVR titles that will be coming out for 2016. Now, just as a disclaimer, we didn't play all the games that were available for PSVR, however, we were able to play most of the games that were available for PSVR. And before we even start off the list, we'll be giving you some honorable mentions, just due to the fact that these games will be obviously number 1. Starting off with Batman Arkham VR, where you play as Gotham's greatest detective, the Dark Knight, Batman. The next honorable mention that was a surprise to all of us at the PlayStation conference is Resident Evil VR, and the first-person VR shooter that comes with a light gun, Farpoint. And starting off the list with the top 5 games that we thought were best for the PSVR and E3. Starting off with number 5, Battlezone from the development team Rebellion, who's brought you such games as Sniper Elite. In Battlezone, you start off inside a futuristic tank that you're able to control with the PS4 controller, where you have to take out tanks, gunners, and helicopters. The thing that I liked most about this game and that stood out to me is that you're able to move around freely in 360 degrees. The game was really smooth and it felt like you were really inside of a cockpit of a futuristic tank. Number 4 from the development team Uber Entertainment, Wayward Sky. This game was the most different from all the games that we were able to play for the PSVR. Wayward Sky was kind of like a top-down game, and it also switched into first person, where you had to maneuver your character from one point of the map to the other point, and once you were ready to solve a puzzle, it would put you into first person, and you were able to solve the puzzle with the PlayStation Move by picking up items and putting them into specific areas. With this particular game, it does seem fun. However, I can see my only qualms with this particular title is that if the puzzles do not get any more difficult, the game will be very repetitive and it would have to rely on its story. However, it was the most unique PSVR game that we were able to play, and it was pretty cool because it looked like you were looking into like a little city or like a little village that you were just observing as a giant. Once again, that's number 4, Wayward Sky. Number 3 from the development team that brought you Rock Band, Harmonix Music System, with their latest title, Harmonix Music VR. With this game, you have 2 different features. 1, where you can be the choreographer of a wacky DJ party, or 2, you can create a 3D reactive art world. In this game, you're able to utilize the PlayStation Move controller as your paintbrush, and all the shapes and designs that you create from your mind will start pulsating with the music. Another pretty cool feature about this game is that you're able to use the music that's in your PlayStation library. This game was probably the most unique from the PlayStation VR library, and I would definitely love to see what I can create once I get my hands on it. Once again, that was number 3, Harmonix Music VR. Number 2, and my personal favorite from the development team, Kokoromi, Super Hypercube VR. And the best way for me to describe it is kind of like that Japanese game show where the contestant has to contort their body into a shape that's carved out in the wall that's coming towards them. If they're not able to move their body into that shape, they'll get hit by the wall and tossed in the water. That's the best way that I'm able to describe this game to you. Now that you have that in mind, and also we're going to give you GIFs or GIFs, whatever you call it, just so you can get an idea of what the game is about. You have a 3D shape that's in front of you that's made out of blocks. Your goal is to maneuver the cube into the shape that's in front of you. How do you know what shape you're trying to make your cube go into? Well, you have to look around the cube. You can look up, down, or any way you can around the cube until you feel that that's the right shape, and then you press X so that the cube fits. Every time that you successfully move the cube inside the shape, more blocks are added to your shape. Eventually the wall starts moving and you're going through this trippy, rainbow colored type retro 70s tunnel, which distracts you even more from your goal. If you're into Tetris type puzzle games and you're thinking about what game to get for the PlayStation VR, my personal take would be to get this game. That's Super Hypercube at number 2. And last but not least, coming in at number 1 from the development team that bought you, the very popular Killzone series, and the highly anticipated Horizon Zero Dawn. We have Riggs Mechanized Combat League. This game is pretty cool, and I'll tell you why. You're inside the cockpit of a mech, and each mech has a different ability. For example, one can double jump, another mech is faster than the others, and then you have your brute mech. Your team's objective is to score as many goals as you can. How do you do this? Well, you can either get yellow orbs that you find throughout the map, or you can destroy your opponent's mechs. You have a yellow meter for every orb that you collect or for every mech that you destroy. Once you've filled your meter, you're able to score by taking your mech and dunking it into the goal. The interesting thing about this is that you do not get points for destroying other mechs. You only get points for making goals in the middle of the ring. I can really see this game getting highly competitive, and I would not be surprised if this gets adopted in the MLG scene. The only issue that I had, and a lot of people that I spoke with had as well, is that not only do you get to aim with the PlayStation controller, but you also aim with your head, and I do not like that at all. You either give me one or the other. Either I aim with my head or I aim with the controller, but not with both. It gets very confusing and it's hard for you to center your crosshair. Other than that, the game is very exciting and very immersive. One part that I personally liked is when your mech gets destroyed, you get elevated all the way up into the ring and you're able to look down. While you're looking down at the arena, I actually got the fear of height for just a quick second while I was looking down and seeing everything below me. Riggs is definitely a title that you're going to want to look at, and it is one of the titles that I'm definitely going to be buying for the PlayStation VR. That's Riggs, Mechanized Combat League, coming in at number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, that does it for today's top 5 PSVR games for E3 2016. I know there were some games that we weren't able to test out for the PSVR, however we were able to test out most of the games. One particular game that I did want to test out that unfortunately none of us had the opportunity to do at the TGT team was Static. However, this is our pick of what we thought were the best PSVR games that were debuted in E3. Another thing, I do wish that we had a little bit more time to get immersed more into the game and get a feel of the game. It did feel a little bit rushed, but we were able to get a good idea of what we were doing. Other than that, we'll be back to you guys on Wednesday with some interesting tech and gaming news that we were able to get for you guys at E3 2016. Once again, I'm your host, Lance Uppercut with Tech Gaming Today, signing off.